Good morning, everybody. This is Morten from Inkish. If I have a little bit of a breath, it's because I've been running to meet my good friend Dorinda. And it's great to see you, Dorinda. Welcome here on Inkish.
Thank you. Thank you very much for facilitating this, Morten, this morning. It's really great to speak to you too. And yeah, I'm very, very privileged.
I feel privileged too. So we are even on this one. I mean, I think the first time I heard about you was from the Crown Pop during the Corona, because I think we were both frequent guests, and I've seen you many times on LinkedIn because you're very active in a very specific recruitment niche, and we're going to talk about that in this little chat. But before we do that, am I right do I remember right that you were also quite active in the Crown Pop during Corona?
Yes, I did get on the Crown Pop. I always felt bad. I don't know if you went to the Christmas one where they all got dressed up and I wasn't dressed up. They had like tinsel and Christmas costumes and they had wine and I turned up just as normal. But yes, it was nice because we couldn't meet in person and it was just the next best thing, wasn't it? And I think it kept people's spirits up and morale as well. I think they did a good job.
Definitely, and I think also one of the things that was really nice about the pop at the time was that, first of all, it used a very, let's say, socially accepted and common language from the UK side of it, and I think that kind of also gave friendships across the globe for people that are not British, and at the same time got into something that was really cozy. I have got to know friends, and I have friends from the Crown Pop, so that was, as you say, very good to have that during the COVID time. And you were also, of course, active because, how long time have you been working in the recruitment business?
I've been in recruitment since I graduated from uni, 1997. You can't believe it, can you?
No.
But yes, so I've been in recruitment for a long time, but I've been in the print industry, recruiting in the print industry for about 20 years now. So that started very much generic printing, and then I've naturally progressed into more digital and inkjet, but I do cover companies that don't fit into inkjet, as long as it's in the print and packaging industry at large.
One of the things, because I have only been involved with a recruiter like 2 times professionally in my life, I was just wondering, when you have like this specific niche, is it because it requires a lot of, let's say, domain knowledge about both the technology and the business side that you have decided to be specific on digital print, for example, or an inkjet, or why is it that you have chosen this segment?
I think I chose it. I think it chose me, Morten, like things in life. But I remember a company, they used to have these companies, they call it a ring-in, when a company rings in and they're looking to recruit, and they were in inkjet inks. And I thought, that's really interesting. And I built a good relationship with them. And they were only looking for one person, but they took 2 on. Not to be greedy, but I think when you have good people, it's good to grab them. And from there, I started to get really involved in it. And I love things, science and technology. And I always like to work with the suppliers, the manufacturers of the machines. And I love to hear about all the latest technology. So I think it was from that. And then because digital and inkjet was growing, there was more recruitment in it. So that's where it sort of span from. But there is also a need for quite specialist skills. So it's good because I understand that all the different areas in it, and they all collaborate together and they all come together as well.
I was thinking, because, that makes, of course, a lot of sense what you just said. But I was also thinking that, I know that the UK is considerably bigger than Denmark, where I'm from. But is that also when you have this niche that's why you're working more on a global scale? Because skills and resources are not like geographically determined, right? Or why? Because you work in is it mainly English-speaking countries that you work in, right?
It is mainly, and I'm so fortunate that everybody does speak English. But I think in the UK, I did an event myself, my first networking meal last week in Cambridge, because in the UK there's that cluster, there's that hub of science and technology, the universities. So I got a number of the leaders together in Cambridge so that we could all get together just to have a meal and share ideas and try and work more closely together. So I think a lot of it's in Cambridge, and then there is like you say, clusters in different countries. So I've done recruitment in Belgium, the Netherlands. Trying to think of what countries. Portugal, Spain. I'm doing quite a lot in Spain at the moment. That seems to be, obviously there's a hub there as well, isn't there?
And not the worst place to go if you need to get some sunshine as well, right?
Absolutely.
And some good food.
Well, there was Future Print did the event in Valencia last year. They're going to do it again this year, and it was just so wonderful in February to go and get warm. So that was really appreciated. And then I've done work in Sweden, Poland, but I'm really looking forward to as well Copenhagen. It's always, as I said to you, Morten, always wanted to go. And I've always wanted to go to your event. So it's really, really, really exciting to think that I'll go into a place I've never been before.
I mean, I'm sure you will have a good time, and I'm also sure that you will meet a lot of people that probably need some kind of new employees at some point, right? So it's a good opportunity, of course, right? So let me ask you a little bit, because, I mean, since you worked in the industry for 20 years and with this, let's say, special niche, what are the biggest changes over all these years that you see in both in the needs, but also in the processes of recruiting people? Because everybody is talking about it's more and more difficult to get the right skilled labor and all these kinds of things. So how have you seen the changes?
I think across the industry, it is a male mature market, and there's not as many people coming into the industry. So there is a problem already that is going to get significantly worse. Companies have to really address it, and that's why I like to try and work as much as I can with the universities as well. So I do work quite closely with Cambridge University. I've worked with Sheffield University, Leeds University, London University, because people don't naturally, and it doesn't need to be just graduates. I'm just talking about one talent pool you can get people from. But people don't finish university and think, oh, I'm going to go and work in the print industry. And it's not because they wouldn't want to, it's because it's an unknown, it's like a hidden gem that we don't want to be hidden. And people are finishing universities and they want a job, they've got loads of debt, but their first market will not be, they might be thinking about biomedical, the medical field, anything to do with sustainability, but they're not considering this market where there is jobs. So I think that's one of the big problem areas, I would say.
But sorry to interrupt you, I understand that is like an identified problem, but I was also curious about the changes, because I mean 20 years ago we didn't speak as much as we do today about gender equality. We didn't at that time speak so much about labor constraints, because I think the world was like, okay, we have almost like an endless pool of resources. So I was just thinking, from your perspective, that must also have kind of changed how to identify the right talents and also, match them with the right, let's say, employer, right? Or how does it work?
Yeah, I think companies do have to think, because they're looking sometimes for specific skills in inkjet. So just with regards to changes, I would say the types of roles have changed. So companies need perhaps more people that are involved in software, in colour management. So there's been changes with regards to that. You're right with diversity. I think a lot of companies still lack women leaders at the top, and they're looking to try and see how they can make that different. And then obviously with COVID, there's been a big change as well, because a lot of companies, and I know we all talk about remote working and people are bored to death of talking about it, but it is still, they've gone from completely office-based to remote, now to hybrid. And I think companies now, though, wanted to get more back to a stronger split on being in the office, perhaps 3-2. But at least they are more flexible than they were before COVID. So the talent pool has to change with that as well. And it has helped in some ways if people can be remote working, because if they're looking for a specific skill and they don't have to be within an hour radius, they've got a greater chance of filling it. But the challenges are always evolving as well. But I think it's looking to what do you need next? People want people who are like multilingual as well. We're terrible in the UK for languages, so therefore we need to look outside and get the talent from countries like Belgium, where they're very, very strong on multiple languages, and that can help as well.
I can tell you that yesterday I was with BHS, and I told them that the English mission in the world is to make sure that every part of the world they would speak Danish, because then it will make my life easier.
Absolutely. I know
probably probably the smallest and the least significant language to learn. But I mean, it's also difficult, so why not? No, just kidding. But it's interesting with the language skills, because I think that most of my people, we come from small countries, so we have multiple languages from school. And then when we come to the German-speaking countries and to the UK, a lot of people today are like, I wish we had more languages when we were in public schools and when we were kids, because the world is getting, in a way, getting smaller and smaller, and therefore I guess that these kind of skills is a tremendous plus when you're looking for good talent.
Absolutely. My daughter's learning German at school, and she's got to choose what she's going to do for her next stage for her A-levels. She's really good at languages, and I'm just harping on at her, please keep one of your languages, because you will really stand out, especially, like I say, in England, where for whatever reason, we just aren't as strong as every other country. So I think if you're if you are in England and you're a student, then try and learn another language, because you will really have so many more job opportunities available to you.
Dorinda, when a company, let's say, come to your company and ask for a service finding a specific person, is it? I mean, you said it was not only the pools from the university. Is it like a big database, or is it building a network? What is the process? Let's say that. I don't need the inkjet specialist so much, but I often need people, and sometimes I find it difficult, even in my little area, to find the right people. What is the process when you're looking for talent?
I think, yes, I have got a very strong network, and like I say, after 20 years in the industry, I've been to lots of different events where you can meet people. So, all the normal ones like Drupa, Printing United, Label Expo. There was one recently at the Cambridge University. So getting out to these events and building this network, because like we've said before, I mean, we're meeting now, which is the joy of technology, which is so great, but there is nothing better than face-to-face. I met someone that contacted me last year and said, Dorinda, I met you at a networking event 12 years ago. Please, can you find me a job? I've just been made redundant. And I did. I got him a brilliant job. He got his redundancy package. We got a better package and a great job. But it's sometimes you don't always see when you go to these events the immediate return on investment. But it's immersing yourself into the market. And timing is absolutely everything. So, if I'm speaking to somebody good and they're looking for a job, so say they're a sales professional, I will speak to my main clients and say, are you interested in this profile? Obviously with their permission, and they want to work for that company. Yeah. But then if a company comes to me and they're looking for a specific skill of someone I don't naturally have in my immediate database as someone who's actively looking, then I can do a full headhunt, working with them to try and get a target pool of people, approach those people, and then get the best people I possibly can for them to meet their need as well.
So that means basically that it's both the employers and the employee that is often asking you for services. So it is both ways. It's not only because at first I thought it was mainly let's say the businesses that were looking for talent, but it's also like, let's say, as you just explained, if somebody got redundant from a job, then you can often maybe also help them to find the right position within another company. Interesting.
No, definitely. Sorry, Paul. I didn't mean to interrupt you then.
No, just go on, please.
I think it is exactly that, because I think sometimes recruitment, I wouldn't class myself as a recruitment agency. I don't know what I would class myself as. I suppose a consultant that works in the market, but I'm quite small.
You are a network enabler.
Yeah. It's a very small business that I have, and it's a personalized service. So, people talk about candidates and clients, but at the end of the day, a candidate is a person. And I would always want to respect that person and help them in any way I can. And I've placed quite a few people across the industry who, when I've not got paid for it, because I know they need a job and I know X is looking for a job, and I'll say, go and speak to such and such, because it all comes round. It all comes round, and anything you do to help someone else will reap dividends in the future. But also candidates of mine have become clients have become candidates. So yes, it is the client that pays me, but both are just as important, because if you don't do a good job for either side, then it's your reputation as well.
Of course. I mean, I was once with in a process when I was in a approached by a recruitment company in Denmark too many years ago, but that was a senior position with Apple in Scandinavia, and I was surprised because it was like a long process. There was a lot of like, you came into these personality tests and you got into it, and it's never fun to be number two when you have been spending like 3-4 weeks getting into that recruitment process. But it was a huge learning experience for me, and I was young, and I was actually quite first surprised that I was picked for this process, and that was fun, of course. But the reason I mention this is also because I think I heard, and maybe I'm wrong, that typically when you're like the bigger recruitment companies, they also they can't guarantee anything, of course, but have like, okay, we believe this person and this profile will work with you at least for like 2-3 years to justify also the investment in the recruitment process. Is that also something that you do? Or because, I mean, you can probably find talent that is maybe like a rocket that can go off anytime. And sometimes companies sometimes need something that is maybe a little bit more solid because it's a process of getting involved with the company, learning the process of a company, developing products or services or sales or whatever it is. So I was just wondering, is that also something that comes in play when you talk to businesses? Okay, this person has a profile where I believe, okay, 2-3 years minimum for this type of what you're looking for, or how does that work?
Yeah. So do you mean about if someone might join and leave? Is that what you mean? You want to get longevity out of a person?
Yeah, I was just thinking that, because I mean, I guess that recruitment service has different price tags depending on what kind of processes you need to go through. But the more you pay for a process, the more security on your investment you would like. It's like a commodity, basically. Like
Yeah.
you want to be sure that you employ a person that is so well understanding of the job and the process that he's not leaving or she's not leaving within the first 2 weeks, for example.
Yeah,
Right?
I know what
So
you're
I
saying.
was,
No,
yeah.
I totally understand. Some recruitment companies do like a sliding scale between 1 week and 12 weeks. So they'll give a sort of a period back within that. But what I do
Okay, so
is,
that is like the payment can also be depending on how, let's say, solid a person is for the match, basically.
yeah, they can do that as a replacement. What I do is I do a 6-month free replacement. Not a
Hmm.
lot of people do that, but the reason I do that is because exactly what you said, companies are spending a lot of money on that person. So at least within 6 months, you've got a rough idea, really, hopefully, if that person's going to last the course. There's no guarantees because we are dealing with people, and I can never 100% guarantee because we are dealing with people and things happen. But I've placed people that I was at. When I was at an event in Cambridge recently, one of the people that was presenting has been there 10 years, and it's so nice to see how they've progressed in the company and them doing the presentation. And I would say definitely most of the people that I place do stay there long term, but I can't say that every single person does because things happen. But I think that's
No,
why I
no,
put in that caveat of the 6 months,
yeah,
just to
yeah,
give a bit of security.
yeah. No, I understand. I mean, of course, as long as as long as the person that is employed is not controlled by you, of course they have the free will to say yes or no
Oh, of
afterwards as
course
well.
they do.
I
I couldn't control anyone, even if I wished, unless I was like I don't know even how you would do it, someone from Star Wars or something playing mind games. But no, people have free will, don't they? And I would, so that's not the case at all.
Mm. And I guess that working in recruitment since you graduated, it must be a fun industry to work in, right?
Yeah, I mean, when I was starting, and I was thinking this morning before we spoke, when I was walking my dog this morning, when I started, not to say that it was like Wolf of Wall Street, because it wasn't like that, but I used to work in generalist recruitment, and it was a little bit crazy. It was very much sales, sales, sales. It was very much a numbers game, and it was fun for sure. And I made a lot of money, like double my basic every month. It was the heyday of recruitment in many ways. But what I do now is so much more in depth, so much more consultative. I build much stronger relationships and I work in a niche market. So it's just
Mm.
so different, I suppose, than what
Mm.
my original recruitment was.
Mm. And when you look at what you do now, is that like I mean, is it a very competitive market? I mean, because you see recruitment companies everywhere. But again, when you focus on a niche, I can't recall anybody else doing that so specific as you're doing. At least not on my radar on LinkedIn. So are you? I mean, I guess that is both because a company can either use a very general, large recruitment company for some positions, and then they can have like specialists like you that are for like more specific niche positions, and therefore there can be, but the niche that you are in, do you feel that you have a lot of competition in that, or is it more about spreading the word to the potential clients that you offer very dedicated service, or where do you see yourself in that?
I think I'm very, very fortunate. I have put in the hard graft as well, Morten, but I would like to say I'm the go-to person in the inkjet niche cluster, and that's because I've built up my reputation. So I would like to say I don't have exact competition, but there is competition. There is print and packaging recruitment companies. So I work with some clients that will use me for hard to fill specific niche roles, but they may have someone they use for general software or general admin. So they will use other recruitment companies. But where I'm sat, a lot of people say that they don't see any other recruiters at these events that I go to. And I think that's because I really want to invest my time in it, really. But obviously you reap the rewards as well.
One of the reasons I was asking is also because I was thinking, I guess that they also, depending on the size of the companies, often they have like HR functions themselves, and therefore I wouldn't say that you compete, but of course collaborate with the HR departments. But I guess that also sometimes the HR departments, like the marketing department, want to do everything themselves. Basically, is that also?
Yeah,
I mean, because you need to be collaborative.
Some of my clients, one client I've worked with for the last 10 years. Has got a big recruitment team now. I'm probably doing a bit less work with them because they are trying to do it in-house. But when they can't find someone in-house, and when they do want specialist skills, they will use me. But I do work with some companies where they don't really have a HR function, so that I can be an add-on for that period of time, and that can work very successfully as well. So I think it's just casting your net as well.
You have a couple of times mentioned that it was specific with the inkjet. I was just of curiosity, because I had some of the same discussions with other people that are very dedicated to inkjet. Why is it not like digital print? Why is it specific inkjet? Because I was just thinking that toner based, or everything that relates to, let's say, chemicals and electronics and these kind of things. Also, you mentioned future print yourself. When you look at this industrial print inkjets they have of events and things like that, I was just wondering, why do you narrow it down so much?
I think it was just, I set up my business 7 years ago, and I was recommended, or people said to me, make sure you have, like, if you'd like a unique selling point, a niche. So yes, that is my main focus, but that's not to say the same principles apply throughout. So it doesn't matter in some ways what country you're looking to recruit for, country you're looking to recruit in rather, or what exactly you do, if it's like digital, if it's toner, if it's inkjet. It's just because that's where I've set my stall, if you like, on the market.
I mean, it's probably not a bad place these days, because I mean there is a lot of focus, and I guess that everybody is expecting that it's just a matter of time before a majority of print may be printed in inkjet. So there will probably be a need for even more people in the future as well. And as I mentioned to you, I was with BHS yesterday, because they have made this huge jetliner inkjet press. And it was interesting, when you see the interview, you will also find it interesting, because that was a guy that came in directly after university and actually finished his thesis before he started developing that machine, and then he became the product manager of the machine, a very skilled guy, Maximilian Mark. And it was interesting to see. And I guess that when you're also involved in the university levels, I mean, sometimes it must be fun to see if you can find somebody who's really, here is a potential for the future that could be interesting to see if you could breed that person, right?
Yeah, and I have had some great recommendations from the universities of people who've come and done colour science and chemistry, and And the good thing about graduates is they're generally okay about relocating because they've not got their roots yet, they've not got family, they've not got to be in a certain area. So I have had quite a bit of success working with the universities when someone's just about to finish and they've got really good skills, maybe done a year in industry or something like that, and then place them in a company. And it's a win-win for everybody. It's a win for the universities because they're showing that they're helping their students. It's a win for the student and it's a win for the client. So it's a great situation to be in for sure.
Dorinda, I mean, I don't think the recruiting will go away ever. But where do you see yourself and your company in, let's say, the next 5-10 years? Do you think that you will continue in this segment, or do you think it will branch out in other things, or what are the plans?
I do definitely want to branch out, and I think if you're not growing, then you're not in a good situation, are you? You're like a dead tree that's roots aren't doing well. So I think it's always good to be growing. And one area I'm looking at the moment with my son, Morton, it must be crazy, is where my son's doing a degree in computer science and AI, and I'm looking to develop a course to help students secure their first job. This course is not going to cost a lot of money. It's more to give something back. And a lot of students come out of university and they don't have a clue, and they don't even know how to use the phone. You know, they don't, when I say they don't know how to use the phone, they do know how to use their phone, but they're not phoning people on it. And it's just to help them with their softer skills, to help them look at applying for jobs, going for interviews, helping them prepare. So that's something I'm looking at the moment, to try and do that as an add-on to what I do, and help the younger generation get into work.
Fantastic. Dorinda, thank you very much for your time here in English. It was a learning experience for me, and I'm sure it will be a learning experience for the people that are watching this as well. Anything you want to end our little conversation with you?
Just that I can't wait for Copenhagen. I just literally can't wait. So I'll be packing my bags, even though we're only in October, and really look forward to seeing you and anyone else that's there. If anyone wants to come and have a chat with me, then I would love to speak to them.
Fantastic. And I want to just come with one disclaimer when Dorinda is saying this. I would just say that we didn't plan this interview because she has signed up for the non-event, but I actually, as you may have seen, reached out a couple of weeks ago on LinkedIn and say that everybody who wants to talk to me and talk about not talk about recruitment, because I've already done that with Dorinda, but the businesses that you're working in, I'm always interested both to learn but also to share stories, because I think it's tremendously important. And Dorinda, I do look forward to meet you in person at our non-event as well. I'm sure you will have good contacts, and I'm sure that it will be beneficial for the industry to get to know you as well. So thank you very much for your time here on English.
Yes, thank you, Morton. Thank you.